I start, I just want to ask you guys to do something for me. I want you guys to close your eyes really quick and to have a picture in your mind, okay? All of your eyes are still open. I can see you guys. So close your eyes. Kala nyo I can't see you, ah. Magkaharap tayo eh. Picture yourself when you were just 5 years old. Like how you used to look. Kung mataba pa kayo dati, or if you were smaller or thinner, or if you were loud, how you used to act. Okay, now, keep that image in your head the whole time while I'm talking. See, before, when we were still young, you can open your eyes now, by the way. When we were still young, we acted a certain way, diba? Yung bata pa tayo, walang hiya eh. We would talk the way we wanted to talk. We would walk the way we wanted to walk. We would fart if we wanted to fart in front of anyone. No one cared. We would laugh how we wanted to laugh. And it was okay with us. Parang, this is me. Tapos yun na yun. No one judged you or anything. And then one day, you go to school. Now this is true also outside of school when you graduate one day. But mostly in school itself. Wherein, you go to school as you are. Sa bahay, you can say, this is me. And then you go to school and do the exact same thing and say, this is me. And all of a sudden, someone says, uy, he walks like a penguin, oh. Look at how he walks, Peter the Penguin. That's what we're going to call him, Peter the Penguin. And everyone laughs at how you walk. But at home, before, when you were smaller, no one ever pointed that out. Or the way you laugh. Oh, he laughs like a girl, parang bading. Sorry if I use that word, but parang that's what the kids say kasi. Parang bading the way he laughs and then they call you bading in school. Or the way your nose looks. Baka malaking ilong nyo and so someone one day says, kamukha niya si Squidward, and everyone else calls you Squidward in school. And so now, dati nasa bahay kayo, okay lang, just to be yourself. And then you go to school, and one day you go home, and you look in front of the mirror, and you say, okay, so I walk funny, my nose is a little bit too big, I laugh a little too high, I talk a little too loud, and then you start to create filters for yourself. And so you say, okay, maybe this is what's cool now, so papasok ulit ako sa school. And you go to school with all of these checkpoints, and you say, okay, maybe they'll accept me now. See, now, some of you guys here, maybe you were always cool, you were born perfect, but I wasn't born perfect. Some of us here weren't born perfect. And so we all know what it feels like to be judged for who you are. I mean, have you ever thought about it? Like, why do we try so hard to fit in? Why do we try so hard to be cool? I read this quote in Facebook, someone posted it, and I found it so nice. I shared it in Instagram, and it said something like, why are you trying so hard to be cool and be with the cool people? Life is warm. Stick to the warm people because one day when you die, you're gonna be cool anyway. Lalamig naman katawan niyo dun eh. And it made so much sense to me, like, why are we trying so hard to fit in the first place? And you know, even with me, honestly, I wasn't always so cool. Not that I'm cool now, diba? Let me just drink really fast. Even with me, I remember, yung school ko kasi, all-boys school. No girls. The only girls in my school were the staff and the faculty. Siyempre, hindi mo naman nalandain yung mga faculty or staff, diba? And so, one day, a friend tells me, oh, we're gonna have a party. My first party ever, high school freshman year ata to eh. And so I was thinking, like, okay, so what do I do in the parties? Because all of the girls I know either family or family friends. So I prepare myself, diba? I'm gonna go to this party, we're gonna have fun, I'm gonna talk to the girls, it's okay. Walking to the party pa lang, I was already sweating, not because it was a far walk, but kasi I was so nervous. Kasi sobrang torpe ko dati. Minsan hanggang ngayon. And so I was going to the party and I walked into the door with my friend, Carl. And there were these two girls there. So first two girls I saw. And I was thinking in my head while I was walking to them, parang, do I shake their hand? Do I hug them? Do I make them beso? I don't know what to do. And so I reached out and said, hi, I'm Jeremiah, to shake their hand. And the first girl comes close to make me beso. I was like, oh, what the? And then the second girl comes close and makes me beso. I was like, what? And I look at my friend, like, what? So, syempre, parang first time ko din eh. So I was like, I walked up to my friend, Carl, come here. Sa atin lang to ah. I'm not trying to make yabang, pero sa atin lang to. Those two girls, no, I don't know them. That they made me beso. And he looks at me and he says, we all make beso here. I said, Ah, yeah, that's right. No, kasi in San Juan, we all make beso, but this is Pasig, so I didn't know if you make beso here. I just wanted to let you know. Pero inside, sobrang embarrassed ako kasi I thought everyone just shakes hands. Hindi naman nakikipagbeso. And then the party goes on, and then this one pretty girl walks up to me, kapatid ng kaibigan ko, and she gives me one bottle of beer. Now before, I never drank before. Minsan, tikim-tikim lang para pa cool. And then she gave me one bottle of beer, so syempre sobrang pressured ko, parang, oh my gosh, I'm gonna drink the bottle of beer in front of this girl. And I finished the bottle, then I see my friend Carl again, and I walk up to him, I said, pare, I finished a whole bottle of 500 ml beer. Sobrang yabang ko nun eh. Then he looked at me and said, I already had 4. Then I looked at him like, what? I just had 1 beer right now, but a while ago I had 7, so I'm just letting you know, you have to keep up. Yun pala, I've been trying so hard to be cool, but deep down inside, I wasn't cool at all. I would try to impress all of my friends, like, I'm this guy with these girls, and I can drink and everything. I even went to the far extent dati, bullying. I mean, some of us here, we won't admit it, whether or not we've been bullied before. But one time, when I was younger, I was so much smaller. And syempre, because I am raised by pastors, they always say, hey son, turn the other cheek. Have you tried turning the other cheek in school? Grabe, they slap you, turn the other cheek, they'll slap you harder. And so that's what I thought was normal. So I would always turn the other cheek until I had no other cheek to turn to. And so I got bullied once, and I decided I don't want to get bullied anymore, this is not cool. So I decided maybe what I have to do is I have to be friends with the bully. Because in my head, it was like, okay, so if I bully someone, the bully in class will come to me and say, oh, you're a bully, I'm a fellow bully, let's be bully friends together. I was like, oh, perfect, great, makes sense. So I kept bullying people in high school. Kids who did not deserve it. Well, no one actually does. I was going to say kids who deserve it, but they don't. And there's this one kid, I won't name his name, but he was this one kid and I would constantly bully. And I would make fun of his name, and I would hit him, and I would tickle him, and all these things. And all these other cool guys in school, they would laugh every time I would do it. So I felt, oh, I'm cool now. And one day, the teacher didn't come to class. It was after recess, 30 minutes na wala pang teacher. So parang, oh, perfect. It's only me, my barkada, and this one kid. So we were bullying him, calling him names, spitballing, sobrang kadiri nun, but we were spitballing him, and we were kicking him, and one time, he just stood up and shouted, ayoko na! And he stood up, and the first person he saw, and this guy is bigger than me, by the way, and the first person he saw was me. I was like, oh, there's so many people here, why are you looking at me? And he runs to me, and he kicks my shin. So siya, aray, sakit, bakit ba? And I remember, oh right, I bullied you nga pala. But he kicks my shin, and he broke down, and then, syempre, kasi, can you hear? Can I change my mic? And syempre, because I was so mayabang pa, I just laughed it off. Parang wala lang, okay lang. And I felt so bad. I was so guilty that just to be cool, just to fit in, I was willing to push someone else further out. And so what I did was, because I felt so bad, I told myself, you know what, after class, I'm gonna look after this guy. I'm gonna look for him. I'm gonna see what he does. So I went out, kasi syempre, in school before, every time school ends, we play sports, basketball, football, dodgeball, whatever it might be. What kids do. And I was following this guy. Let's call him Ralph. His name's actually Ralph, shucks, I used the real name. Anyway, let's just call him Ralph. And so I was following Ralph, and I saw him walk past the basketball court. Oh, he didn't play. He walked past the football field. He won't play. Then he walked straight towards the exit. And he was seated there by the bench, waiting. And I was playing football, so I could see him. 30 minutes later, he was still there by himself. Another 30 minutes later, he was still there by himself. By the time I left, he was still there by himself. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And I realized, because I ended up talking to him, every single day, since grade 7, he waits by the exit for 1 hour waiting for his mom to pick him up because he had no friends because of people like me who try so hard to fit in that we're willing to push other people out. And so I told myself, you know, I felt so bad. I said, you know what, I'm gonna try to reach out to this guy. Kakausapin ko man lang. So I sat down next to him. I mean, this guy was really so boring. He didn't like girls. He didn't like sports. He liked history. So I sat down next to him. I said, "What are you reading?" He had this book about Ramon Magsaysay, and he had another book about Marcos and about Napoleon Bonaparte. So I would just say, "Sige, make me kwento na lang." And I would fall asleep listening to him. Then my guilt would wake me up. So I'm awake again. I would talk to him. And I felt so bad because imagine what I was willing to do just to fit in. And what are the things we have been willing to do, or we were willing to do, just to fit in? I mean, you know those toys when we were younger? Yung parang medyo it's like a box, and then there are holes inside. It's a star, it's a square, it's a circle. And you have all of these toys like a ball and a cube. See, the thing is, if you put the cube in the square, it just fits. You put the ball in the circle, it just fits. You don't have to try and force it to fit inside. You get the ball, you put it in the square, it won't fit no matter how many times you push it in, hindi siya kakasya. And sometimes that's how we feel. And we think like, Lord, why would you put me in a school like this where I don't fit in? Maybe what I have to do is to change myself just to fit into this place. Sometimes it's not school, sometimes it's our family. Where we're so far away from our family, we don't even really know them. When you talk to them, you can't really talk to them. They're all one way and you're another way. You feel like a stranger amongst your friends. You feel like a stranger amongst your family, and you're forcing yourself to fit in. But what if I told you the reason why you don't fit in is because you're not meant to fit in the first place? What if the reason why God made you a ball amidst squares was because you were supposed to stand out in the first place? See, most of us, we always say no when we talk about our dreams. Like, gusto ko maging sino ba? Bill Gates one day. Gusto ko maging Steve Jobs one day. Gusto ko maging some person who changed history one day. But see, the thing is, you can't make a difference if you first aren't different. You can't make a difference if you don't think different. You can't make a difference if you don't act different. If you're always worrying about what your friends think of you, you'll never be better than them. If you're always worrying about what your family thinks of you, you'll never be different from them as well. And one of the things I gave up, because I gave up so much just to be cool. I gave up so much just to fit in. And one of the main things I gave up, which I think a lot of you have given up also, in terms of your barkada, was Jesus. Because Jesus doesn't fit in our conversations. When you talk about barkada, you talk about drinking, you talk about partying, you talk about girlfriends and boyfriends, but you bring up Jesus, parang medyo weird. Ako nga dati, we had this Iglesia ni Cristo member in our class, and he would always talk about God. And I would always find it weird na parang I was talking to you about cars and you mentioned God. I don't get it. Parang medyo weird, so no one would ever talk to him. I mean, imagine in high school, no one knew I was a pastor's son. We were 420 students in my batch. Only 3 knew I was a pastor's son. Because every time someone say, "Uy, si Zabarte, anak ng pastor yan," I would always say, "Shut up, don't tell anyone." Kasi medyo weird eh. Kasi they always ask me, "Pastor, anak ka ng pastor, ba't ka ganyan?" I hated that statement. And so I just made sure no one knew I was a pastor's kid. And so maybe some of you guys here really do believe in Jesus. Maybe some of you guys go to Pulse and go to Words of Life or CCF or some other church. But when it comes to my barkada, I won't talk about Jesus because Jesus does not fit in our conversations. Because you're so afraid if you bring up Jesus, they might stop talking to you. Why? Kasi magdedebate sila. They're just gonna debate with you and question you and do all these things to you. And so you say, "You know what? I love my relationship with my friends so much, I'm gonna keep Jesus out of it just to save my relationship with them." And the reason why I want to share this message is because I want us to grow. I want to see more people here. I want one day where we can barely fit in this place, not because it's for our pride na, "Uy, ang laki ng Pulse," but because we're supposed to go out and reach people. And so because of that, I want to share 3 points. 3 easy points that you just need to remember if you ever want to reach out to your friends and talk about Jesus. You know, the first thing, and it's so easy, honestly, it's know Him. We all come up with these different types. Parang, how do I reach out to my friend? Drug addict siya. How do I reach out to him? Because he's a drug addict. I'm not a drug addict. I want to talk about Jesus, but he'll find me weird. How do I reach out to my other friend na she's a mistress of someone else, or kabit siya, or ahas siya? How do we reach out? But the first thing you need to do is to know Him. Most of us know of Him, but we don't know Him. We know Jesus is real somewhere out there, but that's it. It stops there. See, if you knew Patrick Garcia, kunyari, or John Lloyd, or, I'm running out of celebrities, Chris Aquino, or Bello, ipagyayabang nyo yun eh. You tell your friends, you know, I was with this person yesterday, I was with James Reid yesterday, nag-party kami, because you're so proud to be their friend. Can you imagine if you had a real relationship with God? You had a real relationship with Jesus? Here's this almighty God who doesn't need you to survive, who's all-knowing, all-powerful, but chooses to reach out to you anyway. How can you keep quiet about a person like that? The second thing, after you get to know Him, is you have to know His love. That's point 2. See, to know His love, you have to receive it. You have to embrace it. You have to dissect it. You have to understand it. Most of us don't really understand what it means to be in love with Jesus. Who is the person that loves you the most in this world? Try to think of it. For me, I don't know. I don't want to say one parent, no, but usually it's your mom, diba? But even your mom, minsan magagalit yan sa'yo eh. I mean, sometimes, I'm sure even with my mom, minsan I've made her so disappointed. She probably looked at me, assessed me, that this is Sparta, then threw me away. I don't know. I don't know if you watch 300. That's how they treat babies. But see, the thing is, even the love of your mom will never compare to the love of Jesus. Your mom, your family, your friends, they like you, they love you for what you've done, sometimes for who you are, sometimes for who you can be. But Jesus is the one person who will always love you, not for who you can be, but for who you are right now. Whether nagkasala kayo, whether you talked back, whether you fought your parents, He's still there and He always says, I love you anyway. And the third point is you have to know His heart. See, we probably think like His heart, His love, those are two different things. I mean, those are the same thing, but really it's two different things. To know His heart means what is His purpose for my life. To know His heart means what does He want me to do in this planet. See, most of us, we think after He reaches out to us, that's it. Tapos na, I'm okay na, I'm saved, I'm going to heaven, I'm good. Is that His heart? Did He reach out to you just so He could reach out to you? But when you get to know Him and you read the Bible, you realize He saved you not just for you, but He saved you because He wants to save other people. I wanted to use this demonstration. Before I get there, someone once told me, you know what, I'm glad that you speak there in front and speak on the stage and everything so that I don't have to do it. See, usually kasi we come up with all different kinds of excuses so we don't have to reach out to our friends. Basta invite ko lang sila, okay na. But the truth is, you don't have to be a pastor to reach out. You don't have to be an evangelist to win souls. You don't have to be a worship leader here to worship with your friends. And so many people come up with all of these different excuses and they say, but why me? Why do I have to reach out to my family? Why do I have to reach out to my friends? I'm a nobody. But the truth is, Jesus chose you because you're a nobody. You think you're worthless, but the truth is you matter. Shameless plug. The truth is you matter. And you say you're a nobody, but the truth is He reaches out to the nobody so they can reach out to anybody to talk about the somebody who can save them in the first place. Because what if nobody reached out to you? Where would you be right now? I don't know where I would be if no one took the time to be with me here. When I was broken, when I was lost, when I needed people the most, there's this story of this man who didn't believe in Jesus. And so his friend who was the pastor said, you know what, why don't you come to our church? Because we talk about Jesus and we'll love you no matter what. Just come with us. And so the guy said, no, I don't want to go. I don't belong there. And he said, no, just trust me. Kahit isang beses man lang, just come with us. So he went. He enjoyed it a little bit. After the service, he said, you know what, I know there's a God, but I don't believe in Jesus. But will you come next Sunday? Sige, I'll go next Sunday. So he went next Sunday. Then he went next Sunday. Then he went next Sunday. And every single Sunday when the pastor would talk to him, he kept saying, I don't believe in Jesus. This isn't for me, but I'll go because you're my friend. Nahiya ako. Sige na nga, I'll just go na lang to your church first. And one day, One day he comes up to his pastor and says, I did it. I finally believe in Jesus. And so the pastor was so shocked because obviously it wasn't because of him. So he asked, bakit? How come out of all the times I asked you, why do you believe in Jesus now? And the guy just broke down and he said, you know what? It wasn't the message you shared up there. It wasn't all of our Bible meetings. It wasn't every single time you spoke to me. What touched me, what reached me, it wasn't Jesus reaching out to me personally. But it was when you would go up there on the stage and you'd awkwardly ask us, can you turn to your neighbor and say, you know how sometimes the pastor says that, parang, turn to your neighbor and say, God loves you. And you turn to the neighbor and say, oh, you know what, God loves you. And he hated it. He said, I hated it so much, it was so awkward, I would cover my eyes just so my neighbor wouldn't look at me. Every Sunday, I would go into church and people would hug me and I would push them away because I didn't want them to. Every Sunday, one of your ushers would walk up to me and ask me how my week went, and I never answered them once. But after church, I would go home and I would cry because that was the first hug I would get for the week, and that was the last hug I would receive until the next Sunday. That was the only time anyone would ask me about my week. The reason why I got saved is because I experienced Jesus through your people in church. It's not so much about what I talk about here on stage. It's about what each one of us do down there with our friends, with our family. And I just wanted to share that story because you know what? Someone once asked me, how do you do it? How do you go up there on stage every Sunday or every second and fourth Saturday and talk about God? Hindi ba mahirap? Isn't it difficult? And so I thought about it and I realized, you know what? I don't think it's that difficult. It's challenging, yes. But you know what I find harder than talking up here? It's being down there in the trenches, in the everyday. Not the Sundays, not the Saturdays, it's the Monday to Friday I find difficult. See, up here, I get a message from God, I share it to you guys, tapos na, done. But when you have disciples, when you have friends you're trying to reach out, and you talk to them, and you listen to their problems, and you know that you have all of these problems of your own, and you have to push it aside just to listen to your friend and help them solve their problems. And then their depression goes to you, and now you feel a little bit depressed and a little bit sad for your friend, and you go home at night going back to your problems, and you have to deal with your own problems now. I found that even more difficult than talking up here. And you probably don't know that unless you're a care group leader or you have friends you're trying to reach out to. You know, I wanted to show this demonstration wherein I think one of the best representations of us as Christians is a lighter. Because we're hot. Sayang, oh. Panira ng ano. How do I make this work? Wait, it's gonna work. There it is. Now, why a lighter? See, I know some of us here already gave our life to Jesus. And I'm sure you can remember the very first time you gave your life to Jesus and really, truly believed He was real. Nalala niyo yun na parang, oh my God, God is real. I'm so happy. And there was so much joy in your life. Everything was working for your good. Your family was happy. Your friends were happy. You were so on fire. It didn't matter who you were talking to. You'd always mention Jesus. You'd always listen to Christian music, dati hip-hop and rap, and then now, all of a sudden, every single hour of the day, it's Hillsong or another worship band. And you're so on fire. And we just live that way. Can we turn off the lights first? And we just live that way. And we're so on fire, and we're so happy that oh, that's pretty cool, huh? And we're so happy na parang, uy, I'm so happy with Jesus, and I'm so happy with God. This is my life, and I'm so happy to be here. But we forget something really important, which probably someone forgot about this as well. Two things. Number one is the purpose of the lighter. And number two is the supply. See, the thing is, the purpose of a lighter isn't to hold light. It's to pass the light. See, what happens inside the lighter is there is a chemical reaction between the gasoline. Is it gasoline? I think it's gasoline. Between the gasoline and the rocks inside, and they ignite, and then there is fire. And it's the exact same thing with you when you give your life. There is transformation in your body, in your life, and all of a sudden you're saved. But then the second thing we forget about is the supply. And so we're so on fire and hyped about Jesus and everything, and then one day the fire dies. And we think to ourselves, like, what's happening? I gave my life, Lord. You said when I give my life, everything would go good. You said when I give my life, I would be happy. You said when I give my life, you would save my friends and my family. But I don't feel the light. I don't feel the blessing. I don't feel the happiness. I feel the darkness and I feel the shadows. And we start to question. And the reason why is because you forgot the purpose of why God gave you that light in the first place. And you forgot the supplier of that light. Can we pass around the thing I asked us to pass around? Is it here? See, if we used our lives the way God designed us to use it, and we use lighters the way God designed lighters to be used, then we would never run out of supply. Now, I want to show you an example of how this works. Let's call up someone like, where's Jobo? Or Daniel, where's Daniel? You have a candle with you? So we're always thinking about how can we reach out to our friends. All coming up with these different strategies of how to reach out. Because now we know the reason why we have this salvation in our lives is so that we can pass it on to others. And how do we do that? Well, first you gotta know Him. Then you gotta know His love. Then you gotta know His heart. And when you know His heart, He tells you that the only thing you need really to talk to other people about me is to share my love. And so let's say this is your friend Danielle, and you've got your light right here. I'm waiting for it to. And you don't know how to talk to Danielle because he has his own problems. And you're afraid if I talk to him about Jesus, maybe he'll stop talking to me. And so use the one thing that Jesus used all this time in all of the books in the Bible, and you use His love, and you tell Daniel, you know what? We're friends, and I know you, and I know your life, and I know that, you know what? I know that you're not with your dad anymore. You're not with your mom anymore. She's not here with us, and she passed away. And I know sometimes, maybe during times like Christmas, when you see all of your friends celebrating Christmas with their parents and with their brothers and sisters, you have no one to run to except Tita Yoli. I want you to know that if ever you feel alone and if you ever feel like you don't have family next to you, that there's a family here. And even if you feel like you might not have a brother, you can know that you've got a brother in me. And you pass the light by giving love. And maybe it's someone else. Geez, this lighter needs to know its purpose. Maybe it's someone else, like Drea, come up here. Can you light that somewhere? And maybe it's someone like Drea, for example, another friend. And you talk to this friend and you don't know how to reach out to them, and you tell them, you know what? I know sometimes maybe we fight. I know sometimes maybe we have disagreements, and there's this one time where you hurt me. But I want you to know that you'll never be able to push me away because I don't love you for what you've done in my life. I love you for who you are. And you pass the light again. I didn't try to come up with all of these different strategies just to reach out to her. All I did was take the time to listen to her story and tell her that I love her and I love him. And maybe you got to reach out to someone else. I'm just using random stories here. Maybe like, for example, Jabeli. I know that you, for example, live here in Manila now, but maybe your family is so far away in Cebu. Maybe sometimes school is hard. Maybe sometimes you feel like giving up, because I know I did before in school. And you just want to run away. You want to run back home where there are no more problems. And you think running back home is the purpose, but maybe the whole reason why you don't feel like you fit in here is because you're not meant to fit in, but because you're meant to stand out. And what you do is you just pass that light. You reach out and you talk to them and you say, you know what? I don't know your story. I don't know you. Maybe you don't know me. But siguro minsan akala ng mga kaibigan mo na sobrang happy mo because that's all you show them. Maybe you talk to your mom and you talk to your dad and you act like everything is okay. And they ask you, how did your day go? Okay lang ma. But they don't see that every single time you go home to bed alone. And feeling alone no matter how many friends are around you. And I want you to know that I know how it feels too. And I know what it means to be alone, and I know what it means to be depressed. And in this place, you will be able to talk to us about that, and you pass another light. And I want everyone who has a light to pass it to someone else. And when you pass it to someone else, I want you to say something nice to them. I want you to say something encouraging to them. And sometimes you finally do it. Sometimes you finally pass the light and you look around and you say, Lord, why is it still dark? I did what you called me to do. I know who you are. I know your heart. I know your love. But why do I still feel like this? I still feel empty sometimes. All I see are the shadows. All I see is the dark. But let me tell you something about shadows. Darkness cannot cast shadows. Only light casts shadows in the darkness. Jeez. And sometimes you feel like in your life it's dark and all you see are the shadows. But know this, the only reason why you can see shadows is because there is a light there. And every single time you go through your tests, the light that puts the shadows there in the first place is Jesus, because Jesus never leaves you. No matter how dark it might seem, no matter how dark it might get, and you have to be faithful in the shadows because you have hope in the light that you can see. And one day, maybe it takes 1 month, maybe it takes 2 years, maybe it takes 3 years, and you look around and all of a sudden you see it's a little bit brighter and I'm a little bit happier. But you also realize it's not about how I feel. But you look at all the different lights you lit around you, whether it's your dad or your mom or your best friend or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and all these lives you changed because you weren't so focused on yourself. You were focused on who Jesus was and how He transformed your life and how He can transform the lives of the people that you love. That's the best way to reach out. We have another service soon, November 24. And that's some time from now. And I think the best way to put this into practice is to do exactly this. See, we went to this church where they say, for the Mondays. It means it's one thing to come to church and to come to youth service and you listen and then tapos na after this. You go back to your regular life. But how do you apply this Saturday night thing on your Monday, and your Tuesday, and your Wednesday, and your Thursday? I don't want this to just be a moment like, wow, look at all these candles, and this guy made me cry a little bit, I feel good. No, this isn't just a moment, it's meant to be a movement. And someone one time reached out to you, and I hope and I pray that one day you're gonna reach out to someone else as well. Because what if someone never reached out to you? Where would you be? I mean, if God really is so beautiful and we know the beauty of the gospel, how can we keep it to ourselves? You know, a while ago in worship, they were singing, was that Wide Awake? Right? How did you sing it? That's right, Wide Awake. And sometimes we catch ourselves sleeping. The worship songs are playing and we're just standing. The pastor is speaking and we're just sitting. We're not wide awake. We're not occupying our street. We're not taking action to do anything. And I hope and I pray that soon, if not today, you're going to start to wake up and realize that there is a God who loves you so much and wants to change your life and wants to use you. See, maybe the reason why you don't fit in your family is because you're supposed to stand out, because you are the only one in this world who can reach out to those members.